Faithful God, may my words be your words. And may the meditations of all our hearts be guided by your Spirit. O God, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. A couple of years ago, in my family, one of our favorite apps to play on our iPad was a game called Where's My Water? And it's a puzzle sort of game. The object is, you see this alligator who's standing in a bathtub, and he's got the shower head there, and the object of this game is to figure out, you see there that there's water in various places, and so you have to figure out how to overcome the obstacles and get the water to channel it into the place where then the alligator is able to take a shower. Without wasting the water, without running into various hazards, you have to get the water to the alligator. We wasted hours upon hours playing this game, and it was kind of a blessing in disguise that now our iPad doesn't work anymore, so that we can, well, waste our time in other ways, really. But so as you can tell from the name of this game, it's as if the alligator is the one asking, where's my water? The alligator needs it. And so he's asking, he's wondering where this water is. And of course, the object is to help answer that question for him. The Israelites, for 40 years, have been asking, among other questions, where's my water? It's been several generations at this point since they began this journey. God has liberated them from the oppression and slavery that they were bound to in the land of Egypt. God delivered them from one side of the Red Sea to the other. And ever since that moment, ever since that important, seminal sort of event in the life of the Israelites, they have been wandering for 40 long years. And it might be that the oldest among them can still remember that moment of liberation. But for the most part, as this journey has continued, the further away they have gotten from that, and all along the way, they have been, in a sense, sustained by this continual promise from God. Eventually, they will receive their own land, their own place, their own physical place that they will be able to call home, where they will be able to establish for themselves a proper and permanent nation. They have been hearing these promises the entire time that they have been wandering around, but at various points, hearing these promises has not been enough. Because along the way, they've at various points been thirsty, and so they've asked, where's my water? We need water to survive out here. They have asked, where's our food? We need food to sustain us as well. And so, as we we have heard from Jesus, as we have heard at the psalm at the very beginning of worship, at various points, God has provided food for them. God has provided this physical sustenance for them through this mysterious, flaky substance known as manna, through the sending of quail into their camp at certain points. God has answered this question for them. God has sustained them in this way. They have been coming through hunger and through thirst, through a lot of impatience. At so many points they have questioned the leadership ability of Moses and of other leaders, Aaron and Miriam. They have wondered if maybe they were better off back where they were, because at least there was something tangible, something they could expect there, something that was a little more, there was more of an expectation. They knew what each day would bring for them. They have come through all of that. They have come through receiving commandments at Mount Sinai. They have come through facing the temptation to maybe seek out other gods, other sources of spiritual sustenance as well. For 40 years, they have gone through all of this, asking these questions, wondering about what will happen if, and maybe when, this part of their people's lives will end. And when we meet up with them in Numbers, that end is finally visible. They have come through all of this for 40 years, sustained by these promises, sustained by the water and the other gifts that God has provided for them. And we hear that they are still moving from place to place. You heard all of those barely pronounceable names in Numbers. Now, everyone who has ever served as liturgist, who has said to me, "Why are you making me try to say this word?" There, payback, okay? So they have come from these various places, again, still moving around, still wandering, but now we hear they are right on the border of a place called Moab. And right after this, they will begin, with God's help, with God's guidance, to receive land that they have long only been hearing about. They will finally begin the process of receiving a proper physical place that they will be able to call home. But before that, they sit here on this border place, this in-between place. And God brings them to a particular place that has a well, a place called Beer. Except this well probably has water in it. Beer actually in the Hebrew means well. And they are brought to this well called Beer. They are given water once again. Once again, God is answering their question. Where's my water? God says, here. Here is water to drink. Here is a place to receive your physical sustenance yet again that I am providing for you. As God has been doing for so long. And not only do they receive what God has again provided, but they are moved to sing. They sing a song about this well. This well that others have dug for them to receive its gifts. They celebrate God's provision of water in this well. But not only that, but this is a song that anticipates something. This is a song that anticipates a change in their nation's life. Because they have been wandering and they've been hearing these promises. And now they are right on the cusp. They are literally right on the border of the end of that kind of existence. And they are anticipating a different kind of existence. They are anticipating something new. God is finally about to turn these promises into something real. And it will take some work on their part. They will be called into doing and being something different. So they are taking this opportunity to stop, to pause, to drink, and to anticipate what God has in store for them next. It is not unlike the other song that we have heard this morning. A song from the musical Hamilton, where Alexander Hamilton and three of his buddies, John Laurens, Hercules Mulligan, and the Marquis de Lafayette, they are sitting in a bar together. They are sitting in or around a well that literally means beer. And they are singing this song together, anticipating. This is a moment of in-between time for them as well. They have each of them joined up with the American Revolution in different ways. They have each found roles among others who are working toward this goal. And they are anticipating what will come tomorrow. Because they know that starting tomorrow, everything is going to be different. They are going to have to put words and dreams into action. And they are recognizing this. They are recognizing this in-between moment for each of them. And they're not totally certain what's going to happen to them, but they know that they are part of a new and wonderful thing. They believe in this cause, and they are going to see it through to the end, whatever the end in particular looks like for each of them. And so they take this time to sing their own song, saying, whatever happens after this, whatever new and uncertain thing happens tomorrow, let's at least tell the story of tonight. Tomorrow, there will be more of us. Tomorrow, we know there will be more than the four of us working toward this. And they are confident that at least something is going to change. Something is going to be different. And they might even be a little naive about it. They're all young and a bit boastful at this point in their lives. But they know whatever comes next, they are going to do their part. They are sitting at this sort of border moment in each of their lives as well. And so they raise a glass. And they want to remember, whatever happens next, here we are now. We each may be able to name those border sorts of moments that have come and gone in each of our lives. Those moments where we sense that some season of our lives is ending and something new is about to happen. And maybe we have some sense of what that's going to be, or maybe we have absolutely no idea, but we know that something is going to be different. And there come these little moments where we're able to pause and we're able to take stock of what has come before and what might be on the horizon after. You think about that first moment or that first morning that you woke up after retirement. What am I going to do now? What's next? Or you think about that if you're in some kind of a job transition, that final evening, that very last time that you're walking out of your now former position, you recognize, you sense, well, tomorrow's not going to be the same for me now. Or you think about, I think there, when you get to a wedding, I think the transitional moment, that moment where everyone is able to stop and pause and reflect on what this day means, to me, I think that one of those moments, at least, is the toast. Where everyone stops and everyone listens for a little bit. And whoever it is who is talking is maybe telling a story. I knew this person when, and then eventually they met so-and-so, and now we're anticipating this new existence. The two of them are anticipating this new existence together after this that usually they have no clue about. But nevertheless, it is that moment of looking back and looking forward. Or you think about that very first moment you've brought the baby home for the first time and you cross that threshold into the house. And you know that is a clear sign absolutely nothing is going to be the same now. Every change in relationship, every change in work status, every transition in one's family. This is the month where we start to think about, well, what changes is September going to bring for some of us? We're planning college trips, or we're thinking about, well, how soon does the bus schedule come out? And when's Meet the Teacher night? All of these new transitions that are about to happen. This is that border time, anticipating those new and different things. We may be able to name some of those or recognize some of those for each of us. We may be able to name others apart from those. But there come opportunities for us to pause, to reflect on what has come before this moment and what will come after. And again, we may have a clearer sense of what comes next after this at certain points than at others. But nevertheless, it becomes important to understanding what has ended and what is beginning. When we can do that pause, when we can observe that for ourselves and think about, well, what happens now? And not only that, but where is God providing living water? Where has God provided living water for me up to this point? Where has God been present? How has God sustained me up till now? And how might God continue to do that in the future? July 31st is the feast day for one of my favorites, Ignatius of Loyola. And in his spiritual exercises, he includes one particular prayer practice that is called the examen, which sounds a lot like the word examine, which is on purpose. Because this prayer practice, the object of this prayer practice, is to stop, to pause, and to examine oneself and how God has been present with us. And usually, the commonly encouraged thing is that this examen take place at the end of a day, where you're able to look back over the course of the day's events. You remember everything that has happened since you woke up this morning. Every activity you have observed, every interaction with others that you have been a part of. And so the questions that you might ask is, well, where has God been in the midst of each of these? And how have I been conscious of that, or how have I not been conscious of that? And what might I need to ask forgiveness for? What things have I done over the course of my day that maybe I need to make amends for in some way? And all along asking, where's my water? Where has God been sustaining me in both the big and little things that have happened to me today? The underlying assumption of a practice like this, of course, is that God is a part of all of it. That God has been sustaining us every moment of our day, that God has shown up in every moment of our day, whether we have taken the time to recognize it, whether we have taken the opportunity to be aware of it or not. That God nevertheless shows up, and God nevertheless provides, because God cares about even the silly little mundane things that we have to do day in and day out. It becomes critical then to pause, to recognize when we are on this border sort of moment, and to stop, to reflect, to pray, to raise a glass to how God has been providing water for us, living water that sustains not only our bodies but also our spirits. As we have been wandering, whether we know where we are wandering or not, God nevertheless has been providing living water every moment. And it behooves us to stop, to give thanks in between seasons, to raise a glass, and then to continue on. May it be so for us. Amen.